Hello and welcome back. In this video series, I'm talking about symbolism in popular media. Today, I'm talking about color symbolism in Star Wars. Colors are very commonly used in symbolic ways, both in fiction and in day-to-day life. Some examples from day-to-day life might include, for instance, yellow being associated with happiness and blue being associated with sadness. Red being associated with romantic love, like for example sending red valentines or red roses to someone that you're in love with. Red can also be associated with anger, and then on the flip side, blue can be associated with calm. You can have color combinations that represent a country, a school, a sports team, and so on, like red, white, and blue for the United States of America, for instance. Colors also often take on a symbolic role in fiction that's understood and acknowledged by the characters within the story. Like, for instance, in the Divergent series, each of the factions is associated with different colors. Abnegation is gray, erudite is blue, candor is black and white, and so on and so forth. Likewise, in the Harry Potter series, each of the Hogwarts houses is associated with two different colors. Some of the color symbolism in Star Wars is of this type. Like, for instance, the lightsaber colors. If someone has a red lightsaber, you know they're a bad guy, and the characters in the story know they're a bad guy. If it's blue or green, you know they're probably a good guy. Probably not necessarily because Anakin Skywalker did a lot of bad things with a blue lightsaber, but, for the most part. In fact, the lightsaber colors have a lot of meanings attached to them that aren't really even gone into in the movies themselves, but that exist elsewhere in the franchise. However, not all of the color symbolism in Star Wars is that blatant. In a lot of cases, colors are used to indicate things in a more subtle way. For example, the blue and green lightsaber colors are echoed in many other places in the Star Wars movies. For example, when Luke Skywalker sees the ghosts of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin, he sees them in blue. And blue is a color that's already associated with the light side of the Force and all that, so that's a sign that they're benevolent. In the prequel movies, the planet of Naboo, which is one of the more peaceful and prosperous planets in the Star Wars galaxy, is portrayed as a planet with large bodies of water and lots of trees and plants. Basically, it's painted in shades of green and blue. Not everything green or blue is always positive. Like, for instance, the ray of the Death Star that blows up planets is green. But think about this, though. That was in A New Hope, which, yes, chronologically is number 4, but in terms of release order was the first one. The first green lightsaber didn't appear until Return of the Jedi, which was the third one in terms of release order. So the green ray of the Death Star, that happened before the color symbolism of green and blue was really well established. It's also worth noting that the spaceships reverse the color scheme of the lightsabers. So the TIE Fighters, which are the Empire's spaceships, those shoot off green beams of light, whereas the X-Wings, which are the Resistance or Rebellion's spaceships, shoot off red ones. Which, again, I believe comes from A New Hope, which was before the color symbolism of red for the bad guys or the dark side, and blue and green for the good guys or the light side was really well established. However, red does come to be very strongly associated with the dark side, and you'll often see characters whose character designs include an awful lot of red, like Darth Maul, for instance. Black is also very strongly associated with the dark side, although Luke Skywalker wears black in The Return of the Jedi, and of course he is the protagonist. However, that's the movie in which he struggles the most with being tempted towards the dark side, so the fact that he's wearing black may actually symbolize that. For the most part, the Star Wars protagonists tend to wear neutral colors, lots of browns and beiges with some hints of black or white, but not usually an all-black or an all-white outfit, with a couple of exceptions. White tends to be very commonly worn by the heroic women of Star Wars. Leia wears all white in her first appearance, and then again in The Empire Strikes Back. Padme wears an all-white outfit in Attack of the Clones, and Rey wears an all-white outfit in The Rise of Skywalker. I don't know what to make of that, I just think it's interesting to point out. For the most part, though, white has very negative connotations in Star Wars. It's associated with the Empire via the Stormtrooper armor, and it's also associated with very cold and dangerous locations, like, for instance, Hoth, which is where the rebels make their base in the beginning of The Empire Strikes Back, but it's certainly not a warm, cozy little hideout. It's very dangerous. And then Starkiller Base in The Force Awakens, which is basically a much larger planet-sized Death Star, and said planet is covered in snow and ice. So aside from the costumes of the three leading ladies, the color white almost always has very strong negative associations in Star Wars with either death, cold, danger, or oppression. It's the warm neutral colors like brown and beige, and the cool colors like green and blue that tend to have the strongest positive associations and be the most likely to indicate that a character is one of the good guys or that a location is safe and welcoming. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. In this series of videos, I'm talking about symbolism in popular media, and in addition to Star Wars, I'm talking about Beauty and the Beast, Titanic, The Hunger Games, and Harry Potter. So if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. I post new videos every Monday and Thursday.